Okay, let's unpack this. Today on the deep dive, we're diving deep into a topic that's, well, absolutely central to how we design, engineer, and build the world around us. We're talking about data in architecture, engineering, and construction, or AEC.
Yeah, AEC data, it's huge.
Exactly. And our mission today is really to cut through the noise, give you a shortcut to understanding the cutting-edge developments here. Specifically, we're focusing on the Autodesk AEC data model.
Right, and we're basing this on that really interesting piece by Eddie Craigill, Experience and Shape the Future of AEC Data, published just recently, end of April 2025.
That's the one. Now, you know how frustrating it can be, right?
Oh.
Trying to get a clear picture from just a mountain of information.
Oh, absolutely. And in AEC, the data is just everywhere. I mean, from the precise measurements of a door in a blueprint.
Yeah, or like who last touched a file.
Or even the current price of a window pulled from some cost system. It's abundant.
But getting that information reliably.
Trustworthy, yeah.
And easily, and crucially, in a granular way. That's often been the massive hurdle.
Definitely. It leads to so much wasted time, people recreating content they shouldn't have to.
Making decisions on bad data or old data.
Exactly. Which really brings us to the key question, doesn't it? How do we actually empower designers, engineers, contractors, everyone involved, to boost automation, improve analysis, and really unlock the benefits of all this data that's currently kind of trapped?
That really is the million-dollar question. And what's interesting is Autodesk seems to think the answer, or a big part of it, lies in two critical areas.
Okay.
First, making sure the data is trustworthy, rock solid.
Foundational. Makes sense.
And second, providing a really easy way to get at that information, but at a much, much more granular level than before.
So not just the whole file, but the bits inside.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where this Autodesk AEC data model comes in. It launched back in 2024, right?
Correct.
And it's a cloud-based solution that's really designed to expand what Autodesk Docs can do. Many listeners probably use Docs already.
Yeah, it's pretty widespread for file management.
Right. So this moves beyond just managing the files themselves to managing the specific data points within those files.
Okay, so like a common data environment, but for the actual data elements, not just the container.
You got it. The powerful permissions,
Yeah.
management, collaboration features, but applied to individual data points.
That's a big shift.
It is. And the beauty is you can start using these new capabilities right within Docs, where you're likely already working. No need to rip and replace everything.
That lowers the barrier to entry significantly. So thinking bigger picture, this is really about democratizing the data, making it useful for more people on the project.
I think that's a great way to put it. Not just the people who created the original models.
Okay, so what does this mean practically? What are we going to cover today?
Good question. We're going to dive into the very latest capabilities, what's available now, and also look at the future roadmap for this AEC data model. We should probably start with what's already out there making an impact.
Sounds good. What's currently live?
Well, first, there's the content catalog. This helps firms centralize their standard BIM content. You know, the digital building blocks like doors, windows, beams.
Right, the Revit families and things like that. Stuff firms spend ages creating and managing.
Exactly. Centralizing it makes it searchable and stops teams from constantly reinventing the wheel. Big time saver.
Huge. I've seen so much wasted effort there. What else?
Then there's the AEC Data Model API. Now, for anyone less technical, an API is like a messenger. It lets different software talk to each other.
A bridge, yeah. A way for applications to exchange data.
Right. So this API already gives read-only access to Revit property data,
Yeah.
meaning you can pull information out of Revit models.
Okay, so you don't need Revit itself or know how to use it just to see, say, the fire rating of all the doors.
Precisely. It opens up that information across the whole organization.
Yeah.
Makes trusted data much more widely available.
Okay, those are definitely useful. But you mentioned beta capabilities, the really new stuff.
Ah, yes. This is where it gets really interesting. We're going to look at 5 in-progress beta capabilities. These are things being tested right now where users can give feedback and actually shape how this evolves.
Cutting edge. Let's hear about them.
All right, first one. Visualizing model geometry using custom filters and queries through the API.
Okay, visualizing geometry. How is that different from just opening the model viewer?
It's way more dynamic.
Yeah.
Imagine you need, say, a list of all the structural columns above a certain strength on floors 5 through 10 across 3 different building models.
Normally that's a pain. You'd have to open each model, set up views, maybe export schedules.
Right. But with this API capability, you could essentially treat your building data like a giant interactive spreadsheet or database. You can write queries, use filters.
Like SQL for buildings, almost.
Kind of, yeah. You can query elements or properties across all your models in an ACC hub or just a specific project or folder, and then visualize just those results or pull out rich data about them, properties, coordinates, you name it.
Wow. Okay, give me a practical example.
Well, a design firm could visualize just the complex facade panels, maybe color-coded by type, and share that view with a consultant who doesn't have Revit.
Okay, yeah, that's useful.
Or a contractor could instantly pull a precise list of every single opening doors, windows, shafts across several buildings to get accurate counts for their estimate. No need to manually sift through drawings or models one by one.
That bypasses a ton of manual work. So it's shifting the model from being just a picture to being a queryable database.
Exactly. It's about asking specific questions and getting immediate, visual, data-rich answers.
Powerful. That leads nicely into the next point, I imagine, about data freshness.
It does, perfectly. The second beta capability, accessing up-to-date and relevant data via the API. Because queryings are great, but only if the data isn't stale.
Right. But is this the latest version? Nightmare. Projects have so many models constantly changing. How do you know you're looking at current info?
This is where the new API capability comes in. It allows users to access element data that gets refreshed essentially every time someone hits Sync with Central in Revit.
Ah, okay. So for non-Revit users, Sync with Central is basically the command designers use to save their changes back to the main cloud model, making them visible to others.
Correct. So every time a designer syncs their work to Autodesk Construction Cloud, the data the API reads can be updated almost instantly.
Real-time or near real-time data access, that's huge for workflow.
Absolutely. It drives better data quality, consistency, leads to much more agile, data-centric decisions. Imagine having a Power BI dashboard.
Like a business intelligence report.
Yeah, showing live room schedules and areas directly linked to the Revit models, updating automatically as designers sync.
Okay, that's not just faster information, that's a whole new level of project intelligence. Acting on current facts, not guesses from last week.
Massive leap. Now, the third beta capability is also pretty exciting. The ability to attribute data outside of the model environment using AEC data models API extensibility.
Attributing data outside the model. So adding information without bloating the Revit file itself.
Exactly. This really starts to decouple the authoring tool, like Revit, from being the only place project information can live or be managed. This beta lets users add custom elements and properties via a direct API integration.
Okay, so how does that work? You're adding properties, but they don't live in the RVT file.
That's the idea. It allows any stakeholder, really, to append information to a model element, say, link it to an external database record, without making the model file itself bigger and heavier.
So maybe a construction firm links cost codes or installation statuses from their separate system directly to the model elements via the API?
Precisely. The model stays lean, but the accessible information becomes much richer. Users can already report on properties with the API, but the big news is the plan to expand beyond read-only.
Ah, so writing data back.
Yes. The ability to write data back via the API is on the roadmap. That's a really powerful step for supporting data-driven workflows and, again, changing who can contribute to the project's data ecosystem.
Definitely empowering non-designers to add value to the model's intelligence. Very interesting.
And that ties straight into the fourth beta, an actual in-product experience called Custom Properties in Model Coordination.
Okay, so this isn't just an API for developers. This is something users see in the interface.
Right. It uses the API behind the scenes, but it lets stakeholders add and edit custom properties directly within the Model Coordination module in Autodesk Construction Cloud.
Model coordination. That's where you bring different models together to check for clashes and issues, right?
So now, someone who isn't a designer, maybe a project manager or a facilities manager, can go in there, select specific elements like maybe all the air handling units across mechanical and architectural models, and then add custom properties directly to them. Things like installation date, warranty expiry, maintenance contractor.
Data that probably shouldn't be in the original design model anyway.
Exactly. It lets modelers and non-modelers easily add critical project information they care about right there on a web browser. No Revit needed.
Again, widening the circle of who can contribute meaningful data. Makes sense. What's the fifth one?
The fifth beta tackles a common frustration, streamlining the content catalog content request workflow.
Back to the content catalog we mentioned earlier, the library for standard BIM components.
Right. Launched in 2024, helps centralize that stuff. But as you know, firms without a good system wasted so much time recreating content.
Oh, the pain is real. Trying to find the right version of a standard detail.
Yeah, so Content Catalog helps centralize the existing content, makes it searchable, greatly improves efficiency.
But what if you need something new? Something that isn't in the library yet? That was often the missing piece, managed by email chaos.
Exactly. This beta capability plugs that gap. It adds a workflow directly into Content Catalog for users to formally request new content, like a specific Revit family they need.
Okay, so I'm a designer. I need a new type of pump. I submit a request through the catalog interface.
Yep. And that request automatically gets routed to the right people, maybe the BIM management team or design technology lead for review and fulfillment.
Ah, so no more endless email chains, tracking requests in spreadsheets, or stuff getting lost in chat messages.
None of that. It integrates the request process right into the content management system itself. Closes a big loop for efficient content creation. Goodbye, reply all nightmares.
That sounds like a sanity saver for BIM managers everywhere.
I think so.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when you look at all these pieces together, this deep dive is really showing how the AEC industry is shifting, moving towards a future where data isn't just static info on a drawing.
Right, it's becoming something trusted, easily accessible, and genuinely actionable for everyone involved.
It's about supporting better decisions, cutting down on that repetitive, redundant work.
And really letting you benefit from reusing standardized data across projects instead of starting from scratch every single time.
So connecting this back to the bigger picture, like you said earlier,
Right.
what we've explored with the Autodesk AEC data model isn't just a collection of new features.
No, it feels like a more fundamental shift towards genuinely democratizing data in AEC.
By providing that trustworthy, granular access,
Yeah.
enabling collaboration outside the traditional authoring tools.
It's really about making every project stakeholder, regardless of their software skills, a more informed and effective contributor, breaking down those traditional silos between disciplines and phases.
And importantly, this isn't the end point. It's clearly just the beginning.
Definitely. The roadmap mentions expanding support for other data types, right? Like Civil 3D and Plant 3D.
Yes, bringing in more data sources and adding crucial data validation workflows too, making sure the data going in is actually correct and consistent.
Which is critical for that trustworthy aspect we talked about.
Absolutely. And they even have a public roadmap online where you can see the strategy and vote on upcoming features. You can actually help steer the direction.
That's good engagement. It really prompts a final thought, though, doesn't it?
Go on.
Well, if data truly becomes this common language, this universally accessible and actionable resource across all of AEC, how might that fundamentally transform the very nature of how we design, how we build, how we manage facilities?
That's a big question to ponder. Imagine the possibilities when every piece of information is intelligent, connected, and instantly available to inform your next decision, big or small.
The potential impact is just enormous.